Hello! Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do arrowhead smocking. Whew! Alright guys, so last week we did an entire sleeve with this really beautiful smocking called Arrowhead Smocking, or otherwise known as dragon scale smocking, I'm going to show you how to do it this week. This is actually the first smocking technique I ever learned back in, I think, 2014. It was used on Daenerys Targaryen's costume in several episodes of Game of Thrones, lots of her different costumes and stuff. And it's a fairly popular smocking technique, which is why I haven't exactly made a video on it, because I feel like there might be several videos on it, but I don't know, I tried to kind of put my own take, my own spin on this technique, if you will. I do have a free template linked below, so if you would like a free template, you can grab it in the link below over on my website. And there really isn't much more to this intro aside from, you know, like dragon sounds and wanting to make dragon scale armor, and you know, let's just get right into the technique, okay? All right, so let's go right into this technique. I've got my piece of fabric marked out. We are working with a 12-inch by 12-inch piece of silk to peony in, I believe, amethyst. And this is going to be our back of our fabric, and we are actually going to be starting at the top right corner. Most of the time I do stop at the top. Most of the time I do start at the top left corner, but for this one I've actually been starting at the top right, and it seems to be working better for me. So we've got our little V's set in place, and the first thing that I'm going to do is go to my little V, and I'm going to put my first stitch right at the very top right of it, and then I'm actually going to stitch a second time through that just as a little like anchor point. Now we're going to go down to this bottom of the V, and then I'm going to go to the top of the V, and now I'm just going to pull these tight like so. And then we are going to sew through that first point and that second point and that third point all at the same time. And I'm going to then loop it around and tie a little knot. If you would like to do a second one, you can. This is obviously your choice on how, you know, how many passes you want to go through. I typically always go through twice. That's, for me, it's like just a safety thing in case anything happens to my thread. If you're waxing your thread, there's less likelihood that something's gonna happen, but you just never know. So you should have a V slightly below that, right down here. So we've got our row going this way, but it kind of has, basically how I look at it is these two rows work together. So I'm gonna take and go down to this dot right here that's right below the one there. And this is just like we would with all of our other smocking stitches. We're gonna let that stay straight. We don't wanna gather that. That is like, that stays the way it is. So now we've tied our knot there, and we're gonna do the same thing with this V here. So we're gonna go through this one. We're gonna go through this one. We're going to gather them up. There we go. Just like so. And now we're going to go through our first, our second, and our third all at the same time. Pretty sure this needle is on its way out because it is not as sharp anymore, but that's okay. There we go. There's that. And once again. Awesome. Sweet. So now instead of going down again, we're actually going to take it right above us. If you can see, I know the markings are a bit hard to see, but basically right above us, there is a marking and there is a V here. So hopefully you can see your own markings when you do this. I can see my own, but unless I use a Sharpie, there isn't a lot of markers that are showing up pretty well on this fabric. So we, once again, anchored our stitch there, and now we're gonna just drop through the V. It's kind of fun because when I draw these out onto my fabric, it reminds me of like when I was in elementary school and we drew like a flock of seagulls. We always did like little like V, like fancy looking V shapes. All right. And now we are gonna drop it down again. And this is kind of the process we go through the entire way. I will do a quick time lapse here of finishing this row, and then I'll show you how I finish and then how I start off again. So you can just get an idea of like how I do this. And then, yeah. All right, and now let's tie this off. We're just basically gonna wrap this through about 2 more times, just like we did, just to kind of make a really, really solid ending point. And I'll trim it and we'll start back at the beginning. All right, once again, starting in the same row, it basically is if we were to do 2 rows at the same time. So one of the ways that you can play around with this stitch is just press it flat, and when you press it flat, the points just start to kind of cross over each other like dragon scales. And then if you wanted to take it another step further, make it even more in the world of like Daenerys and, you know, Game of Thronesy, whatnot, you can start adding beads in some of these crevices. What I love about things like dragon scales and more like organic entities that are like not supposedly man-made is that you kind of can play around. It doesn't have to all be perfectly structured because like organic beings aren't perfectly structured. If you think about it, like your face isn't perfectly asymmetrical. Your nails aren't all perfectly the exact same. Dragon scales wouldn't all be perfectly the same, especially if you were a dragon in some sort of like, maybe you were in lots of battles, maybe you're Smog, you know? Depending on your backstory and where you come from, like you're gonna have a different story to tell within, you know, the piece that you're doing. So if you are in fact gonna use this technique as like a dragon scale technique, you could actually add a lot of depth and a lot of character to this dragon. Maybe there's, you know, some other types of stones you want to use in this. Maybe you can, like in Daenerys, there's like embroidery that's done in areas on the shoulder pieces. This is layered in strips like next to other pieces that are heavily, you know, beaded. There's pieces that have like beads around the edge of the smocking. It's a really like one of those things where like once you've kind of figured out, okay, this is the texture I'm going for, this is the look I'm going for, you can just start to kind of play with it and do it how you would like want to do it yourself. So yeah, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, comment below, let me know what you would do with like dragon scale fabric if you were making it. Like what kind of pretty things would you like to add to it? Maybe you would like to, oh my god, you could take an embroidery thread at the tip of it and just put it really at the tip and give it that like that pop of highlight. Like there's just like so much that can be done. Sorry, I just went off on a ramble again. But also, if you would like to help support my channel and support the costumes that I make here, you can head on over to my Patreon and go support me there, or just kind of hang out here, chat with me on Instagram, chat with me, you know, all over the place. You guys know, I'm on the internet. I'm here, I'm around. Well, that's basically it for today, guys. We're not really gonna do the whole thing, but like, look at that. Look at how much dimension just these little itty bitty beads added. And now I'm gonna go make myself an entire set of dragon scale armor out of fabric because I can. I'm just kidding. All right, have a great day. Happy sewing.